Welcome, Damons and Damonettes, to the only anime and simulcast discussion podcast that broadcasts completely from hell. I'm one of your hosts, the Sin of Gluttony, also known as JJ. I'm joined by the Sin of Lust, Stranger.
Die in hellfire.
And the Sin of Sloth, Alex.
Yeah.
And today we shall get you to do the baddest things possible, but first we will get you to listen to this podcast about anime. So first up, our weeks. So what have you been doing, Alex?
Pretty much been playing nothing besides Deus Ex lately.
Yeah.
Good. Always.
Yep, forever and always.
Or at least until
Video
you get
games.
to the end.
Yeah, if video games are waifus, Deus Ex would be my waifu right now.
JC Denton is your waifu.
Or more so, husbando instead.
Just that.
Yeah,
Never asked for this.
No, that's Adam Jensen from the Human Revolution. It's not the third game, Human Revolution.
I've been playing that. Started this one RPG, Rainbow Moon, that came out on PSN like last year, I think, because it was one of the free games from last month, and I finished what's it called? Excel Saga.
Nice. And anything else?
Nothing I can think
Alright,
of.
how about you, stranger?
Well, I finally finished Persona 4 at around like 70 hours into it.
Hmm?
And yeah, like I did not like the gameplay much at all, but I absolutely love the story, so I'd recommend it without like any reservations.
Hmm?
And then other than that, I started Karashi Kanojo no Jijo, or the English title is His and Her Circumstances.
I've heard of that one before.
Yeah, it's made by Gainax and directed by Hideki Anno. So it's like the Evangelion team right after they made the anime.
Hmm.
And so far, first 5 episodes in, and it's a pretty cool little romance. I'm hoping it'll actually work out well instead of start sucking. I've noticed it happen with a lot of romances I've watched recently, like How Harry Ride and
Well,
Ishkan Friends.
didn't His and Her Circumstances come out in like 2000s or the 90s or around that time?
Late 90s, yeah.
I thought so. Well, anything else?
Nope, that's
All
about
right.
it.
Me, I have. Let's see. I played a lot more Star Trek Online, and I finally ranked up enough to get a new vessel, which I named the Hoin Kyoma. So that's now canon in the Star Trek universe. And let's see. I played a game called A Bird. Wait, is it a bird song or a bird story?
Bird Story.
Bird Story, yeah. Which is basically an in-between game between To the Moon and the same studio's Nick's game, and it isn't anywhere near To the Moon's level of fantastic writing by any means, but considering it's a story told entirely without any dialogue, it did a pretty solid job. And I've also started playing Valkyria Chronicles, and I have to say, I'm really impressed by it. I mean, I have played the second game on PSP, but just comparing them, the second game was just such a downgrade from the first. The basic combat structure between them is still the same, but uh, if you're not taking out how much better how better the visuals are and how much better the writing is in the first game, uh, uh, the game just feels much more intense and better designed than the second. I mean, the second did have some improvements, like with the class system and customization, and interaction with your squad, which admittedly I've not gotten that far in the first game, so I have no idea how big the interaction with your squad is, but It's so far right off the bat. The second game did do a better job of that, but one thing, but it also the first game, the second one of my problems with the second game was it got pretty repetitive in some of the mission structure a lot, but so far the first game is not. I'm not really feeling that any. But one thing I do like about the cast of soldiers is, well, at first is how varied the age of your soldiers is. Like in the first game, it was only like in between 15 and 19, sort of stereotypical anime characters. But in this one, it's like you have characters that are 15 years old, but you also have characters that go up to like 19 and 29, and some characters in their 30s, and there's even a character who's like 65, and he's a soldier in your squad. But of course, the main thing I definitely say was an improvement in the first game was how much better the main cast was. Like in the second game, they're just archetypical and annoying as fuck to listen to the main cast. But this, to be fair though, the first game, it's the main character is overly nature loving a bit, but but otherwise, I honestly am loving it far more than the second game. So I'm definitely looking forward to more in the story in the game and the actual gameplay itself. And that's all I've been doing. All right, moving. Oh,
Okay.
I actually forgot to mention that I watched the Sabagebu OVA as
mm,
well,
so
or the first one at
how was
least.
it?
It's pretty good. A lot more like uh, fan servicey than
Mm,
the series normally is, but it was still pretty funny.
mm. All right. Anything else in our weeks we want to talk about? All right, moving on. Normally I would start with Log Horizon, but I kind of want to start with. Okay, am I the only one who thought the episode of Amagi Brilliant Park was more messed up than Gugure Kokkuri-san this week, or in general?
I thought it was a great episode
Yeah, it
actually.
was funny, but they go from like a porn star or a character they think is a porn star to hiring a stab victim as her stabber walks in with a,
And then also even maybe wanting to hire that person who
yeah,
stabbed her or her brother. I
yeah,
think didn't they say it was her brother?
yeah, I think she did. And then
I think at that point I was like, the one thing I was more interested is okay, what's the hell is the story behind that? Is he just like some hikikomori like who relies on his sister or something?
yeah, and then they go on to
What
hiring all sorts of weirdos. Eh,
I
happened
thought it
with
was great.
the luchador
Oh
matchup?
yeah.
Like I'm trying to hire a new luchador, but then they decide that he overlaps with the personality of their head of security, so then they start doing the freaking wrestling match right then and there. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and then when Sinto starts looking up the chick they think is the porn star's website, and it turns out it's about nursing animals. That just made it more messed up.
Yeah.
And
I
then
also
who was it? There was, I think, Tyranny, who was like into the
Oh,
really weird picture that the Triceratops looked
yeah.
up. He was like, just like, this is my fetish. That's exactly how he acted.
What's
You learn way more about those mascots than you ever would too.
yeah.
Compose yourself, JJ.
Okay.
Oh yeah, also,
that episode just really displayed that the mascot characters are some of the best ones. 'Cause when Sento attacked them after who was it?
Yeah.
Macaron gave her the what is it?
inch in the ditch.
Yeah. Uh, I it's just when she shot them, pretty much like beat the living shit. And I don't get why she beat up what's his name?
The pink cat or yeah,
Moffel.
Moth.
I don't
Oh,
why I
Moth.
don't get
Oh
I don't
yeah, I didn't
like
get that.
he was just focusing on he was just focusing and directing the elements like their like thing that they were doing. It was Macaron and Tiarame. You said is Pink Cat's
Uh,
name. it was them talking about the whole thing about Sento,
Yeah.
and then he just like moments later, it's like the killer head cow tits. I was fucking dying at that part.
Oh God. Yeah, the episode was funny as hell, but it was messed up at points.
And actually the one priceless part I found about the episode is when they're getting ready to train the new staff, and you see the astronaut still in
Yeah.
his astronaut gear, and he's first wearing the park's um,
Uniform.
the park uniform. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Oh, and it was also hilarious how Sato kept beating her head against the desk every time she was about to say something she didn't want to.
yeah.
Like she just went super violent with it. Like she was just slamming it as hard as she could.
Oh God. Uh,
Like in the original descriptions for this show, they called it a slapstick drama, and it's really showing it
yeah.
off.
Well, to be fair, it is hitting the both slapstick and humor and the drama really well, and I suppose like the other series that was written by the guy who wrote this or Fullmetal Panic, but specifically Fumo Fu, kind of had its own share of messed up humor and drama. Most notably the Ponytail Guide and the very dark humored last episode. But yeah, that episode of Amagi Brilliant Park was pretty messed in a really funny way. Okay.
Yeah, I still love how cheerful that one stab victim was while she was trying to get the job.
Yeah.
She just had the biggest smile on her face. I need to hurry up and do this before I pass out.
Oh God.
And then Kanye's just sitting there panicking, like, okay, okay, we'll give you the job, go to the hospital.
Oh,
Yeah, the entire episode was just so messed up and hilarious.
yeah. Okay. Anything else about Amagi Brilliant Park? All right. How about Log Horizon?
Better episode that's been in the past couple weeks.
Echo.
it's yes,
Yeah.
it's a like I said, I'll agree with Stranger that it's been getting
Yeah.
better
Definitely.
since episode 4, because that was arguably probably like the lowest point in the series, and then now it's actually even though it's still irritating, uh, like this whole Akatsuki arc at least is sort of like she's at least starting to get a little better as a character, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And I like that the other cast like was like pretty much saying if you can't like do things yourself.
Mm.
So I like that they actually said that to her.
Yeah.
But
I also
yeah.
like how they depicted what you lost when you respawned in that beach
Mhm.
area. Though I didn't quite understand why they cut off some of their hair and put it in the ocean. Yeah,
Probably some sort of symbolism.
probably, but it was still weird. And also like that part at the end where they're talking about how the whole flavor text is starting to be more than just static, and then you see that one thing happen to a specific character I won't mention for spoiler reasons. But yeah,
It's not like anybody listens to the show
true.
in the
Yeah,
first place, so go ahead and just
and,
talk about
Okay,
it.
and the whole point of the simulcast section is to talk about the spoilers for each
yeah, and I
episode.
suppose we kind of already did spoil some stuff. Anyway, the whole thing that happens to Krusty with the that one chick's scythe starts, or it's doing the starts,
It just
yeah,
like starts spinning.
spinning.
God
Doing
damn.
ape shit.
This early in the show, Alex?
Once again,
We'll never stop.
it's the unofficial mascot of Divergence cast.
It's just a Moe phone.
Notice me, senpai.
Oh God. Let's see.
Sorry about that.
Okay. What were we talking about again?
Log
Log
Horizon.
Horizon.
Okay. Any other comments about Log?
Sorry for the sudden database for my phone.
Oh God, Cody.
Stranger?
Wait, what the hell happened, Stranger?
I
What the hell just
have
happened?
no idea. Okay. Uh, all right. What else were we going to talk about Log Horizon?
Well, last time I checked before my phone interrupted, we were still talking about Krusty.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you and Stranger said about that, but when that happened, I was like, it's like probably the most interesting thing to happen, maybe besides the fight in the last couple episodes. And I think it's probably gonna actually lead to something pretty,
Yeah.
whatever's to come is interesting. I mean, you might know about it
Nah,
since
I
you
haven't read
accidentally
anything
spoiled
about
yourself.
that yet. But
But yeah, I think it's gonna be, to me, it's the most interesting thing that's happened in the show for a couple weeks.
yeah.
Not that it's a bad thing, but
Yeah, it's still Log Horizon, so it still has it'll still lead to some really interesting stuff eventually. Anywho, okay, moving on. Rage of Bahamut Genesis, and well, really, the series really isn't stopping being awesome yet. Like
it's
yeah,
probably
go ahead.
uh, I would say along with like some like maybe one or two of the other shows this season, it's one of the only shows that's like been consistently great in its entire run so
Yeah,
far.
Yeah.
definitely.
At least that's my opinion on it.
Uh, I can't. Was there anything specific that happened? Oh yeah, that one fight between Favreau and Kaiser, where Kaiser has that the butter knife, and Favreau's
However, has a fork,
yeah, and
right?
Favreau's on the ground drunk, and basically says, "I'm not that." Favreau basically is faking being drunk and actually had a fork all along, and then they start sword fighting with a fork and knife. That
Yeah.
was
And the one thing, actually, the one scene that I forgot about like that happened before that, is that when he's with the two ladies, he's looking at the silverware. So it's obvious that he pretty much stashed it
yeah,
because he probably expected Kaiser to do something.
yeah. And then uh, Rita basically just does her zombie rocket punch and slaps them both in the air again. Yeah,
Uh, what, what I love about a character is that, anybody who just approaches it not knowing, or anybody who would approach a show not knowing what's going on would just assume she's like, the little girl character, but that she's like this 200, she's 200 years old and she pretty much just doesn't tolerate like nonsense from either of them.
yeah,
So either you two are gonna fight or you're just gonna shut up and move on.
yeah.
So she just slaps them both. And also, who exactly do you think is the person who's trying to? Do you think that's really her father at all?
I don't know. I mean, it could be, or it could be that there's something more to it, though. Not quite sure yet. Like I said, it'll or not like I said. It'll just be you. We'll just have to go along and see with it. But so far, yeah, like we said, it's honestly one of the few series this season that's almost nonstop quality each episode.
Yeah,
Yeah. But anything else about Rage of Bahamut?
nah, not that I can think
All
of.
right, moving on. Gugure Kokkuri-san. So, let's see. The whole thing with female Inugami having to choose between the Tanuki guy dressed up as Kohina and Kohina and her slash him having to choose the wrong one in order to go have the right one take her for a walk. That part was just freaking hilarious.
She pretty much just couldn't. She just couldn't bring herself to. couldn't bring herself to pick the wrong one because she just was like, no, it's like I cannot deny my Kohina or something like that. Um, what else? There's also that whole entire just like segment of them just doing the choose dance.
those poses, and his leg, it, his exposed legs. That was just so wrong.
Yeah, it's just like just in like the school dress, like a Kohina school dress, or like a larger version Kohina school dress, and
He's just
he just like has hairy legs, just like the weirdest
he's
thing.
just so overly buff in the dress, and just watching them both do the same poses. Oh God. Let's see. What about else about that episode?
Uh, I thought it was a, I thought it was funny how they're just like that one monster. They just like Kokkuri just
Oh
hit.
yeah, the one
He just
monster.
like came in, it's like, "Ugh," and then they just like slapped him. It's like and he was just out of there. He has like giant bandage over his head.
Yeah.
And I also say that episode probably gave a little more development to the
Yeah.
Tanuki because while he's like he like freely admits he's an asshole, he's still like looking out
Yeah.
for
Oh,
Kohina
and
essentially. 'Cause, he knows he's experienced enough to know that some like those like kind of spirits aren't gonna
yeah.
they're not gonna stay docile forever. They're always gonna wind up doing something.
And then that part at the end where Cohen is like, I was trying to fatten him up so with ramen so I could eventually eat him was freaking hilarious as well. That's
Uh,
yeah. But otherwise, I can't really think of anything else about this week's episode. Moving on, you guys can talk about Grisaia if you want.
sure.
Stranger. All right, you guys were going to start on Grisaia before we got interrupted.
Uh,
Uh,
Oh,
what did
what
you
the
think?
fuck happened in the episode?
I don't know. I was expecting a much. What's her name again?
Well, I don't even remember.
Like I remember what happened.
The
Just like
grenade, cut, and shooting, and I don't even know what all happened.
yeah, it's just weird. 'Cause I was expecting more of like what's her name again?
I don't
'Cause
remember.
I always forget the name of the characters in that show. Either way, like I was
Yeah.
expecting a much more. I was expecting like it's an episode that sort of felt like it should have been in two parts, and they just like rushed the episode. I mean, I thought it sort of ended
Two
well
parts.
regardless. Well, I don't know.
I swear it felt like they crammed 6 episodes into that one episode, and I have no idea what happened.
Just sort of weird because yeah, it's like it just felt like it needed to be longer. I felt like they just sort of rushed everything to me, and because like the one chick seems like they make her like sort of more important, or just I guess her attitude, the way she is sometimes. I thought she'd get more development, but
Yeah, but in just one episode, they just completely ran through her backstory, ran through like all the stuff with her dad and all that, and just everything just went completely crazy.
like for a minute I was actually legitimately shocked because like it's like I have a grenade, I'm gonna blow myself up. I was like they seriously just do that. I was pretty much like waiting. It's like there's no way that they actually just killed her 'cause she's probably still on the show, and then it shows like the whole body double and everything. It just sort of felt just like it should not have been packed into one episode. I think like it did, but it only has a 12 episode order, right?
From what I heard, it was supposed to be 2 core, but
Hmm.
my anime list is only showing 1 core right
hmm,
now.
weird.
That's just. I mean, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, but like
Yeah,
watching it, I was like, man, it's like this doesn't feel like it should have been one episode. It felt like it should have been a lot more than that. And then she had
yeah,
pretty messed up backstory. And, like her father expecting an heir, but instead he got like a girl. She had like and eventually her mom just like came to like blame her for it, or wishing that wishing that she had been born male instead. But like, I don't know, I'm sort of with you that I still can't really understand why they made her character arc just one episode.
Yeah, like I'm still loving the show, but I'm seriously considering dropping it at this point and wait until I finish the visual novel
Hmm.
because it's feeling like even though I'm loving it, it's still feeling like they're just destroying a lot of the impact it could have by rushing it so bad.
Like here's like I'm one of those people that like looks at like adaptations and whatnot as you're going to lose some of it. You can't, especially if it's like a one core series, you're not gonna be able to fit everything. But I don't know, just like with that episode, it's like it's something you get the feel, you got the distinct feeling while watching it that this really shouldn't have it should have been a lot more than what was given. Because we're at
Yeah,
we're like what episode 6 now.
yeah,
So I mean there was time, and she sometimes seems like I would say the show has sometimes played her off as more of like an important character, but I don't know.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
everything in the credits and stuff makes it seem like she's supposed to be the main one.
eh.
Like maybe
And
we're supposed
then
to see more with her arc or something. I don't know.
that could be the case. That would just be interesting if the other what how many girls are left now? Two? No, three. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah. Do you think their backstory is going to be zipped through as quick as hers was, or no?
I honestly have no clue at this point. It's just doing what it
'Cause
wants to do.
yeah, you're pretty much already halfway through what you were given to make the show with. So I don't know. Just makes me hope that maybe they gets like a better adaptation or something, or maybe they do like OVAs to expand upon it. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of the same issue Angel Beats had right now,
Yeah,
where
probably.
they're just trying to fit way too much into a short amount of time.
Yeah, agreed.
But even so, I'm still loving it.
Yeah.
Well, anything else about the Grisaia? I mean, all right. Moving on. The seven deadly sins. So the this week's episode was easily the best yet. I at least I thought so. Did you, Alex?
I thought it was really good, especially a lot better coming after how typical last week's
Yeah,
felt.
definitely.
And like I said, just Elizabeth, as opposed to like being sort of just like the cliched thing, Elizabeth actually sort of came off as like better this
Yeah,
episode.
definitely.
Like as opposed to like saying, "Oh, I'll do whatever." It's more so doing whatever she can, as opposed to like saying, "I'm gonna do whatever." Like I don't know, having
Yeah,
a tough time explaining it, but I think you get my point.
yeah. I get what you mean. It's like she actually went through with what she was saying rather than saying it,
Hmm.
and
Posturing, I said, pretty
yeah,
much.
and that whole thing with them meeting Ban in the castle, and then the
It's
one
like you were
guy putting
like it just
the
yeah.
impenetrable barrier over and saying like not even 10 dragons could get out of that force field, and then Ban and Melodis inadvertently break it by simply uh, doing their reunion slash roughhousing. It was just
It's like
awesome.
that whole scene started on the assumption that there's like some tension between them, and then you just like they're just like crying each other's names. It's like I said on Twitter. It's like pretty much the most epic romance to ever happen in a shonen because they pretty much just by like reuniting, just like screwing around, they're they pretty much bring down what's supposed to be like an unbreakable fortress under with an unbreakable barrier, just having been put on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and then that whole thing with Ban and Hawk at the end, where he's like commenting on how Hawk is just this talking pig that shouldn't really talk, and then he sort of has like bromance with Hawk at the end.
Uh,
Awesome.
it's like the one thing I really liked about the episode too was that even with the sudden addition of man, it's like it seems like the crew for the show is starting to like
Yeah.
gel finally.
Yeah, I think the series is
So I don't know.
finally starting to hit its stride and come into its own because before, like you said, it was starting to feel a bit typical shonen a little bit, but now I think it's starting to feel a bit more or rather, it's feeling more like it's finding its own place in the genre, I think.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting is what exactly is. I wonder what King's deal with the one dude is.
Yeah. Uh,
Because he's like, you're not. He's like, you're not going to go back on your
yeah.
word, are you? And then obviously he will because it shows in the unless I can't remember the pink-haired dude's name, but
Yeah.
uh, unless like he's going to send him as like a spy
Yeah.
for him with the people, I don't know. Because the credits show a different story that
Yeah.
King is traveling with them eventually.
Yeah. Like he's one of the main sins that joins the group.
Eh.
Or yeah. But can't really think of anything else about this week's episode. See, did you watch today's Denki Guy?
No, not
No?
yet.
Alright. See, how about Inou-Battle?
I thought I loved how it opened up
Oh yeah, with the
with the game.
game.
I thought that was priceless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like, essentially just sort of indirectly feeding his Trinity. I was like, we made a game with our powers, about our powers.
Yeah.
And I overall like well, I would say like some of the stuff sort of felt like especially at the end when, she seems like she's starting to fall for him too.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like, with any harem is bound to happen. I thought it was actually a pretty good character developing
Yeah.
episode and and also sort of explaining a bit of the past, like in between the time that they had their powers and the time they didn't,
Yeah.
or like what happened in the like little amount of time you don't see.
Yeah. Me, I really like the series is enjoyable, but nothing really keeping me with it, so I kind of dropped it after this episode.
Hmm.
Like, yeah,
I'm still enjoying it. I think it's. I mean, it isn't perfect, but like it does have its funny
yeah,
moments. So that's why I'm sticking with the show. And I don't. Whereas I think some other shows I might get irritated with. There's something about this show, I guess the way that it's handled its character so far, that I haven't really gotten tired of it yet.
Yeah, I'm
It's,
still loving it. It's like I've been saying, it's exactly Seitokai no Ichizon, only with a main character instead of a perverted one.
mm,
So, so they're doing that character development exactly like they did in that show. So yeah, I'm still loving it.
which me liking this show, I'd actually believe I think if I were to watch that I know each son, I might like that too. I mean, I checked out like what the first two episodes, but it contained a lot of it was referential to like shit things I hadn't seen yet, so that's why I put on hold for the when I, at the point that I did watch it.
Yeah, even without the references, there's some really good character development and jokes in the series.
I gotta make sure I check it out eventually.
yeah. Uh, anything else about Battle?
Hmm.
Okay.
Not that I could.
Did a new Lord Marksman and Vanadis come out yet? I can't remember if we already talked about it or not.
Uh, it came out,
I
but I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember exactly what
I
happened
don't either. I
in the
don't
episode.
remember. I didn't write anything
I
down.
know that one guy, the one guy with the sword.
Oh yeah, the
The
Black
the,
Knight
the,
guy.
the yeah the battle at the like whatever that snowy place, the mountain there
Yeah,
what they were at. That stopped. That
yeah.
was resolved, and eventually he pretty much in that like brook scene or whatever that like
Oh
river
yeah,
scene
that
he wound up
one
meeting one of the maidens again.
naked again.
Yep, falling right on his face again probably.
And surprisingly, the situation is handled rather well again. Like it's
This sort of thing
yeah.
was funny that you could see what's her face is a sort of
Yeah.
jealousy there a little bit,
But it's not like
but
going overboard like some other series is usually do in that kind of moment where they're actually thinking logically, yeah, it's no point in going overboard because he wound up seeing another chick naked by accident.
hmm
Yeah, but outside of that, I can't. Well, I suppose that the uh, main guy did, or Vorn sort of did get cut at the end, but the whole thing with the air where he sends up the arrow into the sky and it lands on the guy's
that's
horse,
pretty sick.
that was pretty awesome.
And they actually didn't make the horses look that bad at that part.
Still better than World Trigger.
Yeah. And that's what we're saying, that it's like we're pretty much confident. It's like World Trigger still looks like shit. We haven't even checked out an episode after the first one, and we're confident it still
Oh,
looks like
oh
shit.
God! I actually did watch a clip about later on. It's not so much the animation. It's like he's basically like saying like talking about something or another. I can't remember what it was, but he's like saying a couple words at a time, then taking these long dramatic pauses for no apparent reason, and then saying more on the same subject. And it's like that's really blatantly cheap. Like they were clearly trying to save budget on animation there.
Uh,
Oh God. I still don't get how they could go from making Kyoso Giga to making that.
well, it's like you said, they're tackling a lot this
Yeah,
season, so and it's not. It's like also got to like carryovers and just new shows in general too.
yeah.
It was just amazing. It's like I remember reading something on Anime News Network. I think it might have been on one of the reviews for one of the episodes, and they were saying that like they can understand. I think the reviewer said they can understand that one of the shows had to get the short end of the stick in terms of budget, but it's like they were sort of amazed that a new show, if
Yeah.
anything, was what wound up getting
Cause
less budget to work
yeah,
with.
that seriously doesn't make any sense. Cause with the new
Because
show, yeah,
like if I was the writer, if I was the mangaka who made that, like I'd be happy that my franchise had an anime, but at the same time I'd be angry because it's such a shitty
and plus
show.
it doesn't make sense for uh the studio since if they just lowered the quality of a different season, like they have Imagine Bone and One Piece and stuff going out right now, so even if they just lowered the quality in a couple of those episodes this season, you'd still have a lot of fans of those particular shows. But for a new show that's just starting out, you kind of want to have better quality in order to get some fans of that series. And I have no idea how many fans World Trigger has, but I know enough that it at least has a good sized fan base at least.
Mhm.
So that really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Oh God! Wait, we were talking about Lord Marksman.
Or the Marksman and Vanadis. It was a decent episode. I would say nothing really remark about it. I mean, I like the dude's sword, if that's
Yeah.
to give it credit for anything, but it's all the return of Worst Girl too, so
To be fair, she was slightly better in this episode than previous ones.
it still just sort of feels like she's still
Yeah.
there, for, like no reason.
Yeah. Oh God. Let's see. Have you watched today's I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, Stranger?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I watched it like an hour ago. What happened again? It was
It
more Oh
was,
yeah, food. She was
yeah, it was her learning how to cook.
yeah, cooking. And it's sort of continuing on the drama side instead of the comedy side, which it's still enjoyable, but for a short series, it's kind of concerning.
Oh, by the way, when dude took off his shirt
Oh
and he was
yeah.
ripped, that reminded me of Angel Beats.
It actually made me think of a joke I retweeted a while back where it's like taking your shirt off makes everything more intense, and it was like showing a random dude taking off his shirt when he's fighting, pooping, and loving and stuff. And it's like
What?
Name of the episode right there.
pretty much.
Fighting, pooping, and loving.
And it's just like he eats the food and then he takes off his shirt, and it's like it made me think of that joke again that I posted, reposted. I mean, a couple of days ago. Just makes taking your
Yeah,
shirt off just makes everything more intense. Uh,
yeah, it reminded me of that one dude
oh
from Angel
yeah,
Beats who always took every opportunity to take off his
it's
shirt.
like I'm thinner when I'm wearing a shirt than when I'm not.
Yeah, I actually just rewatched the scene because it was posted in the discussion thread. Yeah, I was like, yeah, they noticed it too. And then someone else thought it might be a reference to Shokugeki no Soma.
Sama. Uh,
It said when the Alex kept talking about.
the
Mm.
Food Wars one?
Well, were they making like orgasm
Oh
faces or something?
yeah. No.
No,
If that's the case, I haven't watched the latest episode, so
it was a picture of the manga with a dude of like extremely long beard taking off his shirt.
Huh?
mm.
Trying to remember. I don't remember that part.
Let me find it real quick.
Yeah. Anything else about I can't understand what my husband is saying? We're really steaming through this week.
Well, sort of better, sort for the better, considering how long our last episode
Yeah.
was.
Okay. Any other series you want to talk about this week? From this week?
Uh,
Uh, okay. Moving on, and other anime we've been watching. So I haven't been watching any.
that actually does look like it's from Shokugeki no Soma. It
Yeah,
might,
it is.
yeah. I would guess it maybe like the one chick's father or something, or grandfather. I haven't gotten that far in the manga, so I don't know yet.
But yeah, they were saying in the thread that that's what the husband taking off his shirt reminded them of.
Oh man.
Okay. Any other anime you want to talk about from the simulcasts?
Uh,
Nope.
Nothing. It was weird. It's sort of weird week with Simcast because like what two of the shows got delayed, didn't they?
Which shows?
Marksman. I know.
March?
Well, for the second straight week, did Marksman and
No,
Vanadis
I
get
think it
delayed?
was on time. No, it could have
Oh,
been delayed because I don't think I
what?
watched it.
I
I don't
swear
watch.
more than one show got delayed. I know. Well, Inou-Battle second straight week of
Yeah.
delay, or
No,
maybe
I
they're
think
just
they've
moving the
moved
show.
the time due to a rescheduling. So it's now on Wednesdays each week.
Not to mention
What?
that Seven Deadly Sins also wasn't on
Yeah, it was also kind of delayed, I
Saturday.
think.
And our battle's supposed to be going back to its normal schedule.
Oh, it's going back?
Yeah, it was just like that for 2 weeks
Oh.
while they try to catch up.
Oh, okay. And can't think of anything else. So, moving on then. Other anime we've been watching. So, how about you, Alex?
Well, like I said, I finally finished Excel
Hmm.
Saga,
So, what did you think of the last
and
episode?
it has some pretty bad parts. And like I would say most of the time in terms of like gags and whatnot, it wasn't too much different from what you would normally see in the show. It's just some of the stuff was pretty bad. It's just add a little
Yeah.
nudity and whatnot, and just sort of outright sort of creepy kind of perversion.
And the
Yeah, and also what
the
uh,
Puni Puni Puami OVAs actually make it look sane.
uh, and I was gonna say one of the really bad lines from the episode 26 was when the pedophile doctor and
Oh, oh yeah.
what's her name go to the love hotel, and you find out that the one girl's actually like she's actually like a grown. And then the doctor just walks out. It's like, sorry, babe, boobs and pubic hair are a real turn off for me. I'm like, oh man.
Yep.
And then you have Excel just pretty much sexually harassing her own body while Hyatt's in her body essentially, or like her soul is essentially in her body. And I also found it funny how Nabshin just like out of nowhere, Nabshin just comes out of nowhere and he's like crazy.
Yeah.
He's like just shooting whatever he sees.
Yeah. And when you consider that's the director himself stand in the series, like the actual director,
Hmm.
yeah. To be fair, he actually made that episode so it wouldn't be aired.
Yeah, I read about it. I read about that.
Yeah. What did you think of the mannequins in the background in that one scene that are just sexing it up?
Uh, it, and that was hilarious because they just like focused on it for like 30 seconds. It's just like spinning around.
Yeah. And they're all in different positions.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I think the one that I like constantly noticed because like you said, it just sort of it's just in frame for a while, is one that's he's just like holding her up and it's like spinning around.
Yeah,
You only see the bottom because I think there's one of the shorter characters.
yeah.
And then also how they altered the opening just to
Oh yeah,
feature more blood and nudity. I thought that's funny.
yeah. And the closing, it's like the one chick that normally does the trans.
It's actually song, but it's because they bring her out
Yeah,
as opposed to Menchie.
yeah. And the whole thing with the collar and I think there was actually a reference to Puni Puni Poami, like an advertisement for it that was sort of a joke that they actually turned into the OVA at some point. I'm not sure if that was in the main episode or if it was in an earlier episode. Hmm. But let's see, anything else?
Not that I can think of it. Overall, it's a pretty funny
Yeah,
series. It's completely wacky almost the entire
yeah.
time.
All right. How about you, stranger?
Like I said, I watched the first 5 episodes of Kokkuri-kana,
Mm,
which it's like kind of like a mixture of fully coolly and a romance anime. So it's kind of interesting.
mm,
Like you can tell, it's old school Garnex by how some of the characters act. Like especially there was a scene where like the family of one of the main characters were eating together, and it was a lot like the just the over the top ridiculousness of the scene in Fully Cooley where they're all around the dinner table, or like Kill La Kill Ryuk, where Ryuko's eating with
Mako's family.
Mako's
Yeah.
family. But yeah, you can really tell it's like it's got that guy next feel to it. So especially guy next is romance. It's pretty
Mm.
interesting.
And anything else?
Nope.
No. Okay, I have not been watching anything, so I guess moving on. I guess Stranger wanted to talk about Clanad in news.
Yes, the Kickstarter is officially out for the visual novel's release in the West, and right now it's in at $205,000,
Hmm.
which 85 of that was me.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
didn't
it's
it already meet its goal, right?
it's smashed its goal in like 16 hours.
Yeah.
The goal was 140,000. So right now they're just doing stretch goals. They're talking about maybe porting it to like Vita or get HD assets, stuff like that. But yeah, the pledge I did gives you the physical copy of the game, which they're making as much as the original Japanese release as possible. So it's going to have a physical copy of a arrangement album in it and an 80-page fan
Hmm.
book.
That's pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, and then the extra $35 on my pledge gets me the free CD soundtrack.
Oh, nice.
So basically, I'm paying $85 for something comparable to a really good collector's edition of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're talking about adding all kinds of stuff as their negotiations with Key are going through.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely worth investing in, especially since they're not going to be selling the physical copies outside of Kickstarter.
Hmm. All right. And Alex, you wanted to talk about Food Wars?
Uh, uh, JC Staff. It was officially announced that JC Staff was doing the adaptation for the anime, but that's pretty much all I know.
Yeah. I actually have the news story right here. I think apparently it's directed by Yoshitomo Yonitana Tani, but I'm not seeing uh, who the actors they have for it on it anywhere in the news story, so I'm not quite sure what else they have about it. But anyways, moving on. Let's see. Well, apparently there's going to be a web anime of a series called the Wakaru Shinryonaika, or Comical Psychosomatic Medicine, and apparently it's a short or a comedy about medical condition, and it's going to medical conditions and stuff, and it's going to be airing in February of 2015. And I'm probably going to watch it if for no other reason than one of the main characters is like has this uh like fantastic beard and flowing hair, and he's basically nude except for a lab coat and stuff. And I think one of the comments on the article was like, he's a part of Nudist Beach. One of the, and it's funny because he would fit in. He looks like he would fit in as a member of Nudist Beach. But yeah, I'm definitely adding that to my watch list. And apparently, in other news, apparently a series called My Love Story is getting an anime adaptation, and it's, from what I understand, it's basically about this main character who is not that attractive looking, like he's big, bulky, and
Hmm.
he's weirdly drawn compared to how you expect an anime character to be, more goofily drawn. And then there's like this one chick he likes, and then there's the guy's best friend who is your typical handsome male character, and it sounds like it'll be an interesting series to watch. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And in other news, Right Stuf has announced the February release of You're Being Summoned, Azazel-san, a complete DVD set, as well as a couple of other series. Though I'm kind of more surprised to find out that Right Stuf actually does licensing as well as their usual distribution. And that's all the.
I'm sure you'll be rushing to buy that.
What?
I'm sure you'll be rushing to buy that.
uh. I'll probably get it eventually, actually. It's just probably not on the top of my list. Uh, and the only other news I can think of is apparently Assassin's Creed Unity is the joke of the day.
I actually watched a video of the glitches set to. It was set to Barbie Girl and I can't remember the other song. Wake Me Up by what's his name? George Michael. Yeah, George Michael, I think, and his band.
Oh God, that just
Some of
looks.
them are hilarious because he's just like running in place while he's like up on one of the ledges, or not ledges, but on
Yeah,
the like sort of like walking like ropes or whatever it is.
I think someone said it was like Elder Scrolls level of broken, just in the glitches. Just looking at all the images, it looks terrible. Just how bad the glitches are.
Also, the faceless glitch
Oh,
is one of, like the most horrifying things.
yes. And that crumbled on the floor woman character, where she's just like, basically flat folded into her dress and stuff on the ground. It's just horrifying. Just that,
It just actually sort of makes me glad to hear all this
yeah,
stuff happen to Ubisoft
yeah.
because they just seem like they're sometimes just a bunch of
Pretty much,
assholes
and
at
apparently,
things.
all most of the glitches are very much specifically on the PC version, from what I've heard. And in other news, Valkyria Chronicles has outsold Assassin's Creed Unity, and
On
it's
Steam.
like, yeah,
And Call of Duty.
yeah, like it's been number one on Steam for the last 2 days, I think, which is fantastic since it would be nice if Sega ported all more of their games over here. I'm looking at you, Valkyrie Chronicles 3. But yeah, I definitely deserves getting number one spot on Steam. Valkyrie Chronicles does. Anyways, any other news we want to talk about?
Not that I can think
Seitokai
of.
no Ichizon was licensed by Sentai Filmworks, I think.
Oh yeah, Alex mentioned that before.
Yeah, I don't think he actually mentioned it on the podcast, though,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, if you want to watch the series that I keep talking about every time we bring up Inou-Battle, you should probably get that.
All right. Moving on, then, games or VNs we recommend. So, how about you, stranger?
Um, more Persona 4, I guess.
All right.
Like I finished the series and not the series. I finished the game and I would put the story up at about around 9.5 or 9.75 out of 10.
Hmm.
So it's up there with like some of the best anime I've ever seen.
All right. So, are you going to check out the Persona 4, one of the Persona 4 animes now?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the
Yeah.
original and then watch Golden after I finish. Like what I'm planning on doing is eventually getting a Vita and playing Golden, and then I'll watch the Golden
All
anime.
right. And let's see. Me, I'm going to recommend Star Trek Online because it's really, really addictive, even with the few flaws here and there. And it's got a pretty immense level of customization and really does make you feel like a Starfleet officer and or Klingon and or Romulan and or whatever. And
Well,
and how about you, Alex?
I'll recommend a Cave
Hmm.
Story. It's a pretty good, side-scrolling game, in my opinion at least.
All right. All right. Any other games we want to recommend? All right. Moving on, anime we recommend, and I am going to start us off with recommending Kyoso Giga, since it is A, one of the most brilliant takes on Alice in Wonderland without actually having anything at all to do with Alice in Wonderland. B, well, just a fantastic story about a family trying to reunite and also knock sense into a deadbeat father. And C, easily the best looking and probably one of the only few good looking Toei series is out there. And
kind of like World Trigger blows out the water.
actually, I actually Jazzy was trying to one of our friends, Jazzy Lawson. He was trying to say it was one of the best looking in Toei series he's seen, but also that it's sort of Toei. And then I was like, "Have you not seen Kyoso Giga?" And basically, as soon as I showed him or linked him the series, he was like, "What?" Like he was just dumbfounded and astounded that Toei could actually make something like that. Like, to be fair, Toei really doesn't have that many really good looking series outside of Kyoso Giga. I mean, even their relatively okay looking series aren't really astounding as far as visuals are concerned. So
Yeah, it seems like they go for quantity over
yeah,
quality.
which makes Kyoso Giga really sort of out of left field since for starters it's only like 11, 12 episodes, and that's including like two review episodes and the first episode zero, which is sort of a cut together of a couple of scenes from each of the first six or 5 or 6 episodes. But it's just really well done visuals and just beautifully done. But when you compare it to all their other series, it's sort of more unusual. All right. How about you, Alex? What series do you recommend?
Gintama.
Gintama? All right.
hmm
All right. And
Just a comedy series, or just a really fun, or just good sort of comedy series to chill to. I mean,
I'm actually the
the animation might be a little, like the art style might be a little bit, uh, what's the word I'm looking
drag
for?
or
It might be something a turn
turn
off for some
off? Yeah.
people because you have sometimes characters look alike, but I enjoy the series.
All right. And you, stranger?
I'm going to recommend the most quality series ever, Inferno Cop.
Okay.
It is just it is like an hour long on YouTube, and it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And that and like it's made by Trigger, and saying it's their most ridiculous thing is just really out there compared to all the talking clothes and everything else from Kill I Kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like just really weird but badass stuff, you should probably watch Inferno Cop.
That last episode's so ridiculous. They just have like 12-minute credits.
I was wondering why it was so long, and then it just keeps playing on and on.
The strangest thing is I just watched the entire thing. I don't know why.
Because it's the Inferno cop, you have to.
Yeah. All right. Any other anime we wish to recommend?
No.
All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this devilish episode of Divergence Cast, albeit a bit short and a bit, well, it had a lot of interruptions. But if you would be so kind, you might subscribe, like this video and share it with people you know. And if you wish to follow this podcast or any of us on Twitter, all of our handles will be in the description. Additionally, you can follow us on My Anime List or Ask.fm under the same usernames if we have them. And until next time, later.
Peace.
Donate to Clan Ed.